I'm Pat Pattison from Berklee College of Music in Boston, where I have been teaching songwriting and poetry for, 39 years now. So what we're going to do tonight, we got about 2 hours, and what I want to do is do just a couple of things that I hope will be useful to you when you walk out the door. I hope that I can give you a couple of things that you may not have thought of before in the way that you will be thinking about them. And I hope that if there is some kind of a new look, that it will be useful to you on a moment-to-moment basis as you're in the process of writing the song. You know, I'm really not here to tell you the difference between a verse and a chorus. I think if I were going to be doing those sort of general things, that I'm sure that that among you there are some very seasoned and very successful writers, and you don't need to know that stuff. And I really love being in a room where there are some folks who are just in the sort of beginning stages of their journey as a writer, and other folks who are really far down the road and have albums out and have awards. And I've been in a room where there have been students who are just starting their trail, and other people who have won Grammys in the same room. And my job is to make, or that what I try to do is have everybody leave saying, that helped. And so far, I seem to be fooling enough people. So I want to start out just by saying to you that in songwriting, there are no rules. There are no rules. There are only tools. Tools that you put in your tool belt and you pull out as needed when you're in the process of trying to figure out what the hell to do next. This next line or this next section. What options do I have? And what is the best way to approach those options? And how many options do I have? I often run into the attitude or the opinion that knowing stuff, information, interrupts or stifles creativity. And I'm here to tell you that information is the key to creativity, that having a number of options is the key to creativity. I think that what is really intended by that attitude is that when you are in the presence of options and information, it stifles your spontaneity, your ability to just go. But spontaneity and creativity are two completely different things. Creativity is the ability to select from among many options the option that will work the best and fit the best with whatever else you have. That is to say, creativity lies in, I think, composition. Composition. Coming from the Latin, posito, positare, to place or arrange, and the prefix com with respect to the other things around it. To place or arrange with respect to the other things there. That seems to be the place of true creativity. So that having a number of options seems to me to be the best way to approach your work and to select the best option for the task at hand. I I don't know, long ago, philosopher Aristotle said that every great work of art exhibits the same characteristic. He said this in his Poetics. He said the characteristic is, he called it unity. That a great work of art exhibits the characteristic of unity. That is, that everything in the work fits together and supports everything else in the work to communicate the basic idea and emotion of the work. Today we call that unity prosody, Prosody, prosody. And if there is a rule in art, it should be that everything support everything else, that everything in the work belong there, that everything in the work has a purpose, that everything is supporting the main intent of the work. So prosody, a very simple definition of prosody would be appropriate relationship between elements. An appropriate relationship between elements. That seems to be the most useful definition of prosody for me. So that, for example, every section you will ever write, every verse, every chorus, every pre-chorus, every bridge, will have the same 5 elements involved in it. Everything you write, the same 5 characteristics will be present. And the only question is, are you aware of them and have you used them to their best effect? So, we have prosody. That everything works together. And for me, the most effective tool, or the most effective grid through which to think about prosody are 2 terms. Stable and unstable. I love these shirts. You can get a cab really easily, you know? Can I have this cab? Oh, yeah. Because stable versus unstable covers everything. You know, you have an idea. The idea is, wow, I'm so glad to see you here. That feels like very stable. It feels like I really mean it. I'm really glad to see you here. As opposed to, I'm really glad to see you here. And you can hear Butt galloping over the hill with its lance lowered. I'm really glad to see you here, but, and that feels like there's something missing. When I say, I'm really glad to see you here, it feels like there's something else another shoe is going to drop. And I would call that unstable. Or just the idea of, I'm really glad you're in my life, as opposed to, everything's so confused now, I just don't know what to do. So that you can probably think of an idea as either being stable, wax on, or unstable, wax off. So, the question that you ask in any section that you're writing is, how am I feeling here in this section? Stable or unstable? And let's say you're feeling unstable. Then these 5 properties of every section are going to be useful in making how you put it together support what you mean. So the first of these 5, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on any of this, but the first of these 5 is this. Now this is profound. Can I have a little drum roll? Number one, every section you write will have some number of lines or other. I told you, this is good stuff. I can get even more precise than that. Every section you will ever write will have either an even number of lines or an odd number of lines. Let us talk for just a moment about an odd number of lines. An odd number of lines tends to feel odd, tends to feel incomplete, tends to feel unresolved, tends to feel unstable. So that if I were to write a section in which I'm saying, oh my God, you are so beautiful. I would love to spend so much time with you, but I can't because I am a broken man. Okay. Creepy, huh? Okay. I'm feeling unstable. So, do you think it would be better to write that section with an even number of lines or an odd number of lines? Oh, that's great. I love interactive stuff. You mean to say that the number of lines you use can help support an idea? Yeah. The number of lines you use, if it feels like it needs more, without any respect to the words that you're saying, that an odd number of lines creates a feeling. It creates motion, and motion creates emotion all the time. How you make something move creates all by itself its own emotion. So that an odd number of lines by itself, without reference to the words you're saying, an odd number of lines will create a feeling of, huh? And if what you're saying is sort of, then you are creating more emotion by making your section move in a way that also feels that way. So John Mayer writes in his Grammy-winning song, your body is a wonderland, your body is a wonderland, your body is a wonderland. How does that make you feel? Sense of, come on. And so that's the first chorus of his song. And, the first verse is, we've got the afternoon, you got a room for two, your bubblegum tongue. If you want love, we'll make it, swim in a deep sea of blankets. This is bound to take a while. Your body is a wonderland. Your body is a wonderland. Your body is a wonderland. He wants more. Of course he did. They just got into the hotel room. And so there's a sense of longing that's being created by the use of a three-line chorus. Now, John studied with me, and he knows the effect of a three-line chorus. And there it is, three-line chorus in a song that won a Grammy. Second verse, I love the shape you take. I love the shape your body takes when you're crawling towards the pillowcase. And then he writes the line that guarantees that unless he wants to, he will never have to spend another night alone in his life. I'll never let your head hit the bed without my hand behind it. Oh, John. Even I want to sleep with you now. Your body is a wonderland. Your body is a wonderland. Your body is a wonderland. And then bridge, oh babe. And then the last chorus, Your body is a wonderland. 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 Ah, let's have a cigarette. And so that's just, I mean, what a simple thing. Repeating the same line, which, by the way, makes for a rather memorable singable chorus, which is good, and repeating it 3 times and making you feel like you need more. Same words, and singing it 4 times, making it feel like we're done. That's the power of odd and even numbers of lines. And every verse or chorus or bridge or pre-chorus that you ever write will have either an even or an odd number of lines. And so at this point, I think it behooves you to say, now that you have this tool stuck into your tool belt, how am I feeling in this verse? Stable or unstable? And upon answering that question, to at least have in your mind that this one simple tool can express or help express or enhance the emotion that you're trying to express just simply by creating either an even or an odd number of lines. Now, I think that's pretty interesting. Now, if that were the only tool you had in your tool belt, you'd be a one-trick pony. When I'm feeling stable, I use an even number of lines. And by the way, this probably isn't something that you want to premeditate. You know, when you start premeditating stuff, your songs get really sterile. This is something that you practice with, starting with your rewriting, saying, this just doesn't quite feel right, in minor thirds. This doesn't quite feel right. I don't know why. And then you say, well, you know, I sort of added this line here. This line doesn't really mean very much. It isn't really doing much work. It must belong to a union or something. And I don't, should I write a better line? Well, wait a minute, stop right there. Why did you have to write 4 lines? Well, isn't it a rule that all my verses have to have 4 lines? Well, only if you believe that every section you write should have either 8 or 16 bars. 2 plus 2 equals 4 plus 4 equals 8 plus 8 equals 16. You know, our love affair in Western music with symmetry. But notice, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, 7. When you left me, you took a whole bar out of my life. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, and the song dies. So that, get over thinking that everything has to balance, because things only have to balance when you are talking about balanced ideas, when you are talking about something that is stable rather than unstable. And there are so many different ways to talk about instability or to create instability. That's a number of lines is one. And not to go into it in any detail. Number 2, lengths of lines. When you match two lines, it feels stable. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. You know there's more of that nursery rhyme, but you're not thinking, come on, finish it. Because it's two equal length lines, very balanced. As opposed to, Mary had a little lamb, fleece was white as snow. Oh, shh. No, I mean, you shouldn't, no, because there's a story, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but one of Bach's sons used to come home late at night. Dad's upstairs sleeping, and he'd go over to the harpsichord and hit a dominant seventh chord and go to bed. And Johann, who would lay up there, saying, I will not give him the satisfaction. And an hour later, he'd stumble downstairs, hit the tonic, and go back to bed. Ways that children can torture their parents. So, longer line, shorter line. Mary had a little lamb, fleece was white as snow. And the traffic cop says, come on. And so Paul Simon does 4 in the morning, crapped out yawning, longing my life away. I'll never worry, why should I? And the rhythm of the next line is going to be da-da-da-da-da-da, right? This is not rocket surgery. 4 in the morning, crapped out yawning, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, right? Stable. So let's look at that for just a minute. What he actually writes, of course, is 4 in the morning, crapped out yawning, longing my life away. I'll never worry, why should I? It's all going to fade. You did it again. You had to finish it, didn't you? Because it creates a feeling of, So let's do, Paul Simon is a pretty good writer. He could have said, 4 in the morning, crapped out yawning, longing my life away. I'll never worry, why should I? It's all going to fade someday. He could have done that, balanced it off. And if he had, then the message that those words would deliver would be, yeah, life sucks, then you die. Get over it. Move on. Quit whining. That's just how it is. What? You want some sympathy? As opposed to 4 in the morning, crapped out yawning, longing my life away. I'll never worry. Why should I? It's all going to fade. And then the feeling is just existential. Mortality. That's a whole different thing. And I don't see that there's any significant difference in meaning between putting the word someday, because it's all gonna, the future tense already carries that. But the difference in emotion, because of the difference between a stable sequence and an unstable sequence due to line length, makes all the difference in the emotion. So there's another tool. Taking a line and shortening it. Particularly where you have raised your listener's expectations. Probably everybody here has written a good percentage of the verses that you have written in common meter. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, or some variation thereof. And you've written another substantial portion of your verses in tetrameter couplets. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da, da 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 da. You have. And that's because, once again, of the musical imperative of 2 bars plus 2 bars equals 4 bars plus 4 bars equals 8 bars. And we just do that. That's sort of, that's the automatic. That's where everything is set. I once wrote, well, in writing better lyrics, I have a couple of chapters on common meter. And at the end of one of them, which was originally published in Home and Studio Recording Magazine, we had a contest. Send in your grocery list written in common meter. And the best ones will receive whatever the prize was. We got some really great stuff. But you know, I think it's important for you, first of all, to recognize the rhythms you're writing in, and then to be able to manipulate them to create either stability or instability, which Paul Simon does here in common meter, but common meter in triplets. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. 4 a.m, crapped out. Mary she had, oh, the littlest lamb, fleece was as white as the snow. And everywhere that Mary she went, the lammet would surely go. So common meter in triples. And you'll find that and its variations all over the place. And one of the things that I had a great deal of fun with in working through the second edition of Writing Better Lyrics was taking you through a whole series of variations on common meter. But the first thing that's important, of course, is raising your listeners' expectations so that they know what's coming next, or that because there's a sequence involved. And then you're free to either satisfy them and create stability, or fail to satisfy them and create instability. And Paul Simon is a master at that. So line length. Rhyme schemes. The number of lines, length of lines, rhyme schemes. Rhyme schemes can be either stable or unstable. He slammed the door. So let's try this. Rock star, pop star, sports star, porn star, but da da dee da 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 da. Rock star, pop star, sports star, porn star, but da da dee da 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 da. That you feel that as three things: rock star, pop star, sports star, porn star, but da da dee da da da, whatever that is, the rhythm thing. So you feel rock star, pop star. So rock and pop being the rhyme there. Rock star, pop star creates a couplet, creates a match, creates stability. Rock star, pop star, sports star, porn star. But so that goes 2 plus 2 plus the rhythm. So you can say that the traffic cop holds up a stop sign at the end of the second line. Rock star, pop star. Sports star, porn star. But and that's very stable. That's about as stable as you can get. Couplets, pairs of rhymes. Or rock star, sports star, pop star, porn star. But rock star, sports star, pop star, porn star. But now we have a group of 4. And so we have 4 against the rhythm. We don't stop until we get to rock star, sports star, pop star. The rock star, sports star, pop star by itself creates what we would musically call a dominant function. That is, we have a target that we want to hit. Just as the dominant wants to go back to the tonic, we now have rock star, sports star, pop star, and we know where we want to go. So we create a dominant function that pushes really hard to try to get back to the or sound. And we've raised people's expectations. And once you do that, they belong to you. Rock star, sports star, pop star, bop star. But note that rock star, sports star, pop star, porn star is a group of 4, as opposed to rock star, pop star, sports star, porn star, which is 2 plus 2. So it moves differently. It's now a four-line unit. Still very stable. James Taylor's brother, Livingston, teaches at Berklee, and James comes occasionally to Berklee to talk to the students. And he did a very intimate little gathering a couple of years ago for 1,200 people. And one of the students raised their hand and said, Mr. Taylor, what is your favorite song you've ever written, and why? Fair question. James said, Sweet Baby James, because of the rhyme scheme. Tennyson wrote a poem that was a eulogy for the death of one of his friends. And he wrote it in an ABBA rhyme scheme. Now, when you eulogize someone, there's a particular kind of tone of voice, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. A particular kind of tone of voice that you tend to use when you're eulogizing someone. And not to get very technical about this, but it's generally speaking on the 4th degree of your scale. You generally, when you're speaking, as I am right now, something that I believe, I am giving you a tonic function. It's a fact. It's do, do, do. That's usually about an A for me. Do, re, mi, fa, 4th degree of the scale. That's my 4th degree of the scale. It'll vary for you depending on the construction of your vocal cords and so on. But there it is for me. And when I'm eulogizing him, he was a good man. He was somebody that I really cared about, someone who taught me so many things, and yet he's passed on into another place. Oh, brethren and sistern, we miss him so much. And so that's sort of the tonality of a eulogy. And when you then take that eulogizing and commit it to an ABBA rhyme scheme, which also says, it adds, the rhyme scheme itself adds emotion to the idea. In fact, we might say, creates an emotion for the idea. Because as we saw, the same words in Sweet Baby James in that first verse, if you do an ABAB rhyme scheme, become a series of facts. If you do ABBA, it becomes a sense of longing and loneliness. So that rhyme scheme by itself creates emotion. And once you get that and slip it into your tool belt, then you say, okay, how am I feeling in this section? Stable or unstable? And once you answer that question, now you can start thinking effectively and creatively about what kind of rhyme scheme you might want to use. Now, certainly there's more than those 3 paradigms of AABB, ABAB, ABBA. There's certainly more than those 3 paradigms available to you. But all of them can be classified as either more or less stable or more or less unstable. So there's 3, number of lines, length of lines, rhyme scheme. 3 tools to help you get through the brambles of your song. They give you a machete to cut through the crap and really get to the important stuff, to support your ideas appropriately. I've been having a lot of fun with this other one. Let's see. So here's an A-B rhyme scheme, which is incredibly stable. And the end line rhymes are blush, skin, rush, sin. That's the kind of sin that'll send you to hell. Blush, skin, rush, sin. Feel it just banging in there? Why? Why does it do that? Well, certainly because of the stable rhyme scheme, that really strong dominant seventh feeling that's given at line 3 pushes really hard to get us to sin. That is to say, line 3 in an A-B rhyme scheme is the devil itself. That it pushes you into that pit of sin. Same thing happens here when we reverse them. Skin, blush, sin, rush. And you feel the rush that sin creates. Pretty cool. So what are you telling us? Well, there are some folks running around the world who will say to you that your rhyming must always be perfect. You must always use what's called perfect rhyme. That is to say that your vowel sounds need to be identical, blood, mud. And note, by the way, that although I don't have an accent, y'all do. But whatever accent you speak in, you're still consistent with your vowel sounds. So that what rhymes in New Zealand with the vowel sounds, or Australia, or in Ireland, or in Boston, which is much the same, whatever vowel sounds you're using, you'll use them consistently. So a rhyming dictionary is appropriate for anyone who speaks English, because the short E sound will be the same throughout your pronunciation of the short E sound. The short I sound will be the same. The long E sound will be the same. Consistently in whatever accent you have. And accents are, of course, created by your use of vowels. That vowels create accent. How you intone your vowels creates your accent. But perfect rhyme, number 1 condition, is that the vowel sounds are identical. Blood, mud, or blood, mud. And note that although they're spelled differently, the vowel sounds are the same. Condition 1. Condition 2, that the consonants following the vowel, if there are any, have the same sound. Breeze, trees. One is spelled with a Z or Z, one is spelled with an S. But the sounds are the same. So spelling does not matter. It's all about sound, which is, of course, what we deal with as songwriters. We're dealing in sound, not spelling, not any of that. So trees, breeze, both have the voice Z. And that's, so the consonant sounds that follow the vowel must be the same. And thirdly, the way that the syllables start has to be different, because rhyme always works. It's a musical principle of tension, resolution, difference, similarity, blood, mud. If I simply say blood, 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 your first reaction isn't, oh, those sound so much alike. Because all you're hearing is repetition. Even if I say blood, blunt, you're still not getting any kind of tension to be resolved. And that's called an identity. So those are the 3 conditions for perfect rhyme. And what perfect rhyme gives you is absolute total closure, stability. But there are other rhyme types that give you less stability. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch on this because there's something that I really want to talk about tonight, which I haven't started yet. But basically this, that rhymes work just like chords do. Rhymes work just like chords do. Play a C major triad with C in the bass, and the C major triad in root position playing C, E, G, and saying ba-da, da-da, dum, and sing a C at the end. That's the most stable you can get. If instead of putting the C in the bass, I put the G in the bass, and sing ba-da, da-da, dum, still feels pretty resolved. Still feels like I'm home, but Mom and Dad have stored a bunch of their stuff in my room and they changed my bedspread. I miss my cowboy bedspread. But still, I'm home. Put the E in the bass. Ba-da, da-da, dum. And now I'm sleeping in my sister's room. And I don't like pink. But I'm still home. Take the C out of my right hand and still play the E in the bass. Da-da, da-da, dum. And now I'm sleeping in the basement and the house is for sale. And finally, if I put the B, which we do at Berklee, because we believe at Berklee College of Music that every C major chord has 4 notes in it, including the B. And so if I simply play E, G, B in my right hand and play an E in the bass, giving me an E minor in the key of C, and sing ba-da, da-da, dum, I'm still home. But now the house has been sold, it's 5 years later, and I'm peeking in the window. So that tonic functions can be more or less stable. So you're still home, but how happy are you to be there? And rhymes work exactly the same way. So that you can go down to, from blood, mud, you can go into family rhyme, which I'm not going to take the time to explain, and give yourself blood, rut. That is, changing the second condition for perfect rhyme into that the consonants following the vowel should belong to the same phonetic family. I did a bunch of work on that about 30 years ago. Additive and subtractive rhyme, you get something like free, bleach, free, bleach. That's an additive rhyme. The second member adds something the first member doesn't have. Or a subtractive rhyme, bleach, free. So they're always unstable, or they can be quite unstable. Assonance rhyme, cried, smiled, really? Cried, smiled. Oh my God, I'm sleeping in the basement and the house is for sale. Or the very least resolved, consonance rhyme, where we actually change the vowel sounds and leave the final consonant sounds the same. And there we have something like, oh, this is cool. This is from Warren Zevon. She's so many women. He can't find the one who was his friend. He's hanging on to half a heart, but he can't have the restless part. So he tells her to hasten down the wind. Friend, wind. That's all right. Just go. I'll be fine. I just want you to be happy. Consonants rhyme. She's so many women. He can't find the one who was his friend. He's hanging on to half a heart, but he can't have the restless part. So he tells her to hasten round the bend. And now suddenly he just wants her out of his life. Why? I perfect rhymed you. But the consonants rhyme says, and I wish it was young, because it creates that. So that I don't think that those two sequences mean anything different. hasten down the wind, hasten round the bend. I mean, sonically, they're basically the same except for the perfect rhyme. Down and round and so on. And they have the same meaning. Wind is a little more poetic, but that's not the big deal. The big deal is that the perfect rhyme closes the gate and that the consonants rhyme leaves it wide open and creates this feeling of so that when we take this incredibly stable rhyme scheme of A, B, A, B, blush, skin, touch, sin. Now, blush and touch are pretty close. But notice here that the push that we get in this dominant position isn't quite as strong as the push we get with rush. Blush, skin, rush, sin. Blush, skin, touch, sin. And now the sin, part of the momentum that that dominant function gives you is delayed, is mitigated, and so that you don't hit sin as hard. You're not going straight to hell, you get to stop in purgatory. How did we do that? Well, it was a family rhyme that saved me. It's kind of like an indulgence. Shut up, Pat. Okay. Let's take it the other way. Skin, blush, sin. That pushes hard. It's a perfect rhyme. Skin, blush, sin, touch. And now the actual touch itself is a little lighter. It got pushed hard, but it didn't resolve as much. So that when you shift your rhyming type in either dominant position in this rhyme scheme or in root position, that is in the resolving position in the rhyme scheme, it will affect your motion. Okay, now let's have some fun. Now we're going to use an assonance rhyme, which is always unstable in the dominant position. Skin, blush, drift, touch. You see how that lightens? Skin, blush, drift, touch. And you can just feel it sort of floating in the ether. Same rhyme scheme, stable rhyme scheme. Mitigated. Motion changed by the type of rhyme you use. Now, I don't really care whether you want to call these things rhymes or not. We're just arguing about a term then. But it is perfectly clear that the vowel sound in drift is precisely the vowel sound in So there is a sonic bonding that happens there. If you refuse to call it a rhyme, I'm fine with that. But you can't refuse to call it a vowel relationship. So that assonance rhyme of skin and drift is going to take that third position and make it hardly push at all. It's just a little like that instead of a skin, blush, drift, touch. And doing it the other way, putting drift in the tonic position, blush, skin. Now we're going to push hard with a perfect rhyme. Blush, skin, rush, blush, skin, rush, drift. And see how it fails to resolve as strongly? As opposed to blush, skin, rush, sin. Blush, skin, rush, drift. And it gets even fun, it gets even funner when you start using consonants rhymes. Bluff, roar, discuss, prayer. Reversing it, roar, bluff, prayer, discuss. Number of lines, length of lines, rhyme scheme, rhyme types. 4 tools to stick in your tool belt that when you practice with them for a while, become, just for a little while, the mad scientist. You're just trying stuff. You're seeing how it feels. But see what this does in terms of opening your ability to say what you mean and support it with your number of lines, with your line lengths, with your rhyme schemes, and your rhyme types. Now here's the interesting thing about what we just did in rhyme types. That sometimes you will have a song in which the first part of the song is something like, I was so lost, so alone, unable to function as a human being. And then chorus, I met you, I met you. So what's the next thing I say after I met you? Well, I've got to say, something about, and then I was really happy in things when I met, and ever since things are grounded. I'm saying, because I met you. Yes, I met you. And so I'm going from an unstable verse to a stable chorus, then to a stable verse, followed by the stable chorus. So that the question is, okay, let's assume just for the moment that when I write verse 1 and then write verse 2, that I've written this great melody, these wonderful changes, and because I want to preserve the melody and the way it moves, I've got to match verse 1 and verse 2 exactly. But I've got one verse that's unstable and one verse that's stable. How do I do that? I can't change the number of lines and keep the melody the same. I can't change the length of lines and keep the melody the same. I can't change the rhyme scheme and keep the relationship between the melody, the melodic phrases the same. What can I do? And the answer is, in your unstable verse, use unstable rhyme types. And in your stable verse, use perfect rhymes. And one will feel, okay, so Pat, this is great in theory, but nobody ever does this shit, right? Nah. Nobody ever does this. I don't know about you, but that song, when I first heard it, really, well, every time I hear it, makes me feel something. Makes me feel something. And particularly, this line here makes me go, oh, what a great line. Oh my God, I wish somebody would say that to me. Or that I could say that to someone. And I just thought, wow, Randy, what a great line. But you know what? It's not that great a line. It's not that great. It just feels like it's packed with emotion. If you knew how much this moment means to me, how long I've waited for your touch. If you knew how happy you are making me, oh, I never thought I'd love anyone so much. Oh. Look what happens if we do this. If you knew how much this moment means to me and how long I've waited for your love. If you knew how happy you are making me, oh, I never thought I'd love anyone so much. Now the line just sort of sits there. And, the difference between love and touch, really not much in terms of intent, but the difference in sound between love and touch is pretty significant, so that we don't get that sense of closure. But when we get the perfect rhyme between touch and much, the thing just slams the door and says, "Oh yeah, baby." Which isn't what happens in the first verse with the same rhyme scheme. But here we have a consonance rhyme that works actually in the nasal family of and That's about as far away as you can get and still have sonic viability. So that the fact that the gate is incredibly opened by done, by long and done, and slammed shut by touch and much, is the difference between writing an unstable verse with the same number of lines, the same length of lines, the same rhythm of lines, the same rhyme scheme, but different rhyme types. And writing the stable verse with the same number of lines, an even number of lines, same length of lines, the same rhyme scheme, same rhythm, and a perfect rhyme. It's just such a valuable tool to be able to use different rhyme types in the same way that you express emotion with the voicings of the chords that you use. So, that's pretty cool. Don't save. Okay, so I'm going to show you something now that I've written. Try to be calm. Thanks. Where are you going? This is what I said, where are you going? What did I do? Where are you going? What did I do? I want to know. One, two, three, four, 2, 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Feels like I want an answer. 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Right? I'm asking for an answer. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Now I'm simply puzzled. I'm not demanding anything, I'm just puzzled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Or, well, actually, depending on the relationship of the phrase to the downbeat of the bar, we have 4 possible emotional landscapes. Number 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Number 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Third, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Depending on the relationship of your phrase to the downbeat of the bar, you will either create a phrase that is stable or a phrase that is unstable. We're in 4/4 time. There we were in 4/4 time. And in 4/4 time, 4/4 time is common time. But 4/4 time has a definition. Not so much a definition, a description of the way we listen. So 4/4 time simply means that the bar of 4/4 time contains 4 pulses, 4 1/4 note pulses, 4 quarter notes. And those quarter notes, those pulses, have a relationship to each other, such that the first, the downbeat, is the strongest, always, in any time signature. In 4/4 time, the second beat is weak. The third beat is strong, but not as strong as the downbeat. And the fourth beat is weak. So it goes strong, weak, weak. So the downbeat being the strongest beat, well, let me give you 2 definitions. Number 1, any phrase that starts on the downbeat or picks up to the downbeat, 4 and boom, any phrase that basically starts on the downbeat, we will call front heavy. Front heavy. Why front heavy? Because the downbeat is there's many metaphors available, the strongest beat, the heaviest beat, or if you want to change metaphors, the brightest spotlight, so that when we place our phrase on the downbeat, its weight is in front. It's anchored. Think of the downbeat as a flagpole. And when you hang the flag on the flagpole, it is anchored, and no matter how strong the wind is, it still hangs on there and is stable. Definition 2. Any phrase that starts after the downbeat, we will call back heavy. Because it, having been detached from the flagpole, is in motion towards some other strong beat, and is therefore has its weight towards the end of the line rather than at the beginning of the line. So it's back heavy. When it starts after the downbeat, it feels like it's moving towards something and therefore is unstable. When it's on the downbeat, it feels like it's anchored and therefore feels stable. Which is why one, two, three, four, 2, 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Feels like I'm demanding an answer. Whereas 2, 2, 3, 4. Where are you going? What did I do? Feels like I'm puzzled. Feels like I'm uncertain. Feels like I'm unstable because it starts after the downbeat. Now, this is only going to be helpful to you in those songs that you write that actually contain downbeats. Otherwise, you can ignore what we're going to do from now on. Are there any songwriters here? Anybody write songs? Yeah? Anybody? Okay. Okay, well, give me a line.
The world is round. The world is round.
I'm going to hell. I know I'm going to hell for that one. The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is. Nothing changes. Nothing's fun without your tender kiss. It's Just give me a minute.
Who owns the copyright?
Anyone here can have it. Okay, so clearly we have songwriters in the group. Any singers? Any?
The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is.
2, 3, 4.
Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your tender kiss.
Again.
The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is. Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your tender kiss.
Cool, okay. So that's everything front heavy, and that feels like I'm just telling you. I'm just saying. Okay, now let's do front, 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 back. And see if you can come without your tender kiss on the third beat of the 4/4 bar. So, but the first three, the same way. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
The world goes round.
No, front heavy.
Okay.
Hop, hop, hop. Here we go, red, two.
The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is. Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your tender kiss.
It's not bad, do it again.
The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is.
Now wait on the fourth line.
Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your tender kiss.
It feels different now. We have a whole different relationship to your kiss now than just telling you how it is. Okay, now try back, front heavy, back heavy, front heavy, back heavy. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3.
The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is. Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your tender kiss.
Everybody.
The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is. Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your tender kiss.
Again.
The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is. Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your tender kiss.
Let's try back heavy, front heavy, front heavy. Hang on. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am so sorry. Here we go again. Back, front, front. 2, 3, 4.
The world is round and round the sun. That's just the way it is. Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your tender kiss.
Okay, now let's go the other way. Front, front, back, back.
The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is. Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your tender kiss.
Okay, thank you so much. So that not only can you say about the verse that you're writing, or the chorus, or the bridge, or the pre-chorus, not only can you say, is this stable or unstable, this section, how do I feel, what number of lines should I have, How long should my lines be? Should I create forward motion? Should I shorten the last line? What kind of rhyme scheme should I use? What kind of rhyme types can I use? So those are all things that deal with sectional stuff. But here, where we're talking about phrasing, which is the body language of your song. That is to say, 7% of our communication when we talk to each other is the actual words we say. 35% is our tone of voice. And the rest of it is body language. I like you. I like you. And eyebrows are really important. Oh, where's the loo? Where's the loo? Is that your daughter? Is that your daughter? Where's the loo? And what phrasing gives you is the body language of your song. So that line by line, as we just saw, I have to say that this is probably not the best lyric I've ever seen. And yet, each one of these manipulations, that is redefining or resetting the phrase relative to the downbeat, each one of those ways that we went through it created different kinds of emotion. So that once you have this little tool in your tool belt, you now have the opportunity not to ask section by section, am I feeling stable or unstable? Now you have the opportunity to say line by line, am I feeling stable or unstable? And not only line by line, but, and I hate to tell you this, but you have now become responsible for every downbeat in your song. The world goes round and round the sun. That's just the way it is. Nothing changes, nothing's fun without your kiss. So that in noticing that each one of these lines contains two downbeats, there's a difference between saying nothing changes, nothing's fun, and saying 2, 2, 3. Nothing changes, nothing's fun. Skipping that second downbeat creates a whole different color in nothing's fun. I can say nothing changes and nothing's fun. Or I can say nothing changes and nothing's fun. Or I can say 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Nothing changes, nothing's fun. And you get a different color, you get different emotion. And this is just stuff to try. This is just fun. This is why I say that creativity is not spontaneity. Creativity is trying this shit out and saying, whoa, yeah, that's it. Wait a minute. No, that's it. No, that's how I feel. And you can actually figure out what your lines are saying. I contend that a mediocre lyric, beautifully set, will kick the ass every day of a brilliant lyric, badly set. When I started figuring this stuff out, playing with it, I went back to my songs, and no matter what I was talking about, heartbreak, loss, all of my phrases started on the downbeat. Songs had no body language. No wonder they didn't have any feeling. So, number of lines, length of lines, rhythm of lines, rhyme scheme, rhyme types, rhythm of lines. That's just a short little look into some of the fun with structure. But it's not about creating structure, it's about supporting your ideas. Because your job as a songwriter is to create emotion. Whether that emotion is making people dance, whether that emotion is making people cry, making people laugh. It's your job to create emotion. And therefore, you must be a composer of motion in order to create those emotions. It ain't simply the chords and the melody. That's part of it. But there are lots of moving parts. And it's your job to figure out what they are and then use them to the song's advantage. So that's what I have. I want to thank Keith for making this available, for all the help that you've been. It's been absolutely fabulous. And I'd like to thank you all for taking the chance that sitting in a room for a couple of hours, some of you having driven quite a ways, would somehow give you something that you didn't have. And I hope that that's the case. I hope that you're walking away with some tools in your tool belt that you perhaps have been using for a while but didn't articulate them in the same way, and that they will now become more useful. So thanks for coming. And again, I encourage you to buy the books. Anybody who's not buying books, get out. The rest of you can stay. Thanks so much.